Black hotel maid answered a call in Russian in front of a millionaire. Lana moved like furniture, silent, predictable, invisible. That's how they preferred it at the Monarch Hotel. Clean the marble floors, avoid eye contact, and pretend like the guests' conversations about stocks and yachts weren't happening right in front of you. She did her job well, never complained, never asked for more. But that morning, everything shifted. Her phone buzzed from inside her apron pocket and her heart dropped. She shouldn't even have it on her. Rule number 1, no phones on the floor. But when she saw the number, her breath caught. It was international. And not just any international. It was Moscow. Her fingers hesitated, then answered. "Da?" she said softly. Her voice was steady, controlled, native. What followed was a full conversation in fluent Russian. Formal, articulate, layered with nuance, the kind of Russian you don't learn from an app. She moved behind a tall lamp to hide, but her voice carried. And what she didn't realize was that she wasn't alone. Just a few feet behind her stood the hotel's owner, Mr. Callahan, billionaire, power suit, the kind of man whose presence made people straighten up and forget how to breathe. He wasn't looking at the chandelier or the floor polish. He was staring directly at her, listening, studying, not because she was speaking on the job, but because of what she was saying and how. When she ended the call, she turned around and froze. Their eyes met. No words, no expression, just this quiet, heavy pause. Then he looked at the front desk manager and said, "Send her to my office." That sentence alone sent shockwaves. Housekeeping staff didn't go upstairs, especially not alone, especially not summoned by the owner himself. Lana didn't speak. She couldn't. Her stomach twisted into knots. Had she just been fired? Exposed? Or something else? She walked away slowly, heart pounding through her uniform, not knowing that this one moment, this one forbidden phone call, had just changed everything. Lana had never seen the inside of the executive floor. Most staff hadn't. It was a kind of myth, a place where decisions were made behind glass doors by people whose last names were on buildings. As she stepped into the private elevator, escorted by a silent HR rep, the air felt thinner. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was this punishment? Termination? A warning? She replayed the phone call in her head, trying to find what she did wrong. But here's the thing. She didn't do anything wrong. She just forgot the part where someone like her wasn't supposed to be heard. The HR office was sleek, cold. She was told to wait. And then, without any explanation, she was escorted again, this time to the owner's office. The door opened, and there he was. Mr. Callahan, calm, unreadable. Her file was already on his desk, open, highlighted. She stood still, her eyes glued to the floor, but he didn't ask her to explain the call. Instead, in perfect Russian, he asked, "Why are you cleaning bathrooms with a degree in linguistics?" Her head snapped up. Waitho, did he know that? Her resume. The one she submitted 3 years ago when she first applied to join the guest services team. The one that no one ever acknowledged. She told him the truth, that she had applied multiple times, that her emails went unanswered, that her name was never even mentioned in follow-ups. And when she did get interviews, they'd politely tell her she was overqualified for front desk and underexperienced for corporate. She never got another shot. Mr. Callahan said nothing, just listened. Then, without blinking, he asked her a single question. "Can you translate a Russian-Japanese investment draft for me by tomorrow?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes." His response? A short nod. "Welcome to International Client Services." No warning, no training, no explanation. Just like that, Lana had crossed a line she was never meant to approach. And what she didn't know, what no one knew, was that her transfer wasn't about one phone call. It was about the iceberg under the surface. And she had just cracked it open. The badge looked fake in her hands. International Client Services, Lana M. Clean print. Executive access. No mop. No gloves. Just a new identity hanging from a lanyard she wasn't sure she was allowed to wear. The elevator doors opened, and every head turned. People stared, not because they recognized her, but because they didn't. A black woman in a crisp suit, walking into the department like she owned a seat at the table. The whispers started before she even sat down. Is she filling in for someone? Temp hire? Intern? No one asked her directly. They never do. She found an empty desk and got to work. Quietly, precisely. By noon, she had rewritten 2 investment drafts, fixed the phrasing in a Mandarin email chain, and completely restructured a contract that had been in circulation for weeks, one that no one realized had 3 mistranslations that could have insulted their Russian partners. Her edits were clean, respectful, invisible, the kind of excellence that doesn't shout, it just exposes the cracks others missed. At 4:45 p.m., Mr. Callahan walked in. No announcement. No assistant. He stopped at her desk and held up a folder. "You did this?" She nodded. "I want you in tomorrow's meeting," he said. The room went still. That meeting? It was for senior-level staff only. People with 10 years in the game. People with power. People with titles she didn't have. Lana didn't blink. She just said, "I'll be there." When he left, someone muttered under their breath, "Guess we're hiring maids now." She heard it. Pretended she didn't. Because what they didn't realize was this. Lana wasn't climbing the ladder. She was building her own, 1 floor at a time. It started with a jammed printer. Simple, annoying, harmless. Lana just needed to print the meeting agenda for tomorrow's negotiation. She opened the shared drive, thinking she'd find the document labeled something like Client Notes, Japan. Instead, she found a folder named Internal Candidates, Archive. No lock, no password. Just sitting there, like it wasn't meant to be hidden, just forgotten. She clicked and froze. Her name was there. Not once, not twice. 11 separate application files, dating back 3 years. Everyone marked denied, not for lack of experience, not for missing credentials, but because of the comments next to them. Overqualified for front desk, would make others uncomfortable, too polished for service. Then the last one, unaligned with department image, do not forward to interview. It was signed by the Director of International Client Services, Ms. Vance, the same woman who'd barely looked at Lana that morning. Lana sat there, reading every word, like she was studying a language made of excuses. These weren't just rejections. They were blocks, intentional, coordinated, strategic. She took screenshots, quietly, saved them to a flash drive she always kept hidden in her wallet. No emotion, no reaction. Because here's the thing, Lana had stopped waiting for fairness a long time ago. But now she had receipts. And the most dangerous person in any company isn't the loud one. It's the quiet one who starts documenting. And Lana? She just opened the first page of a much bigger story. The meeting room smelled like stress and expensive cologne. Suits lined the table. Laptops open. Coffee untouched. On one side, the Russian delegation. On the other, Japanese executives. Millions in future investments sat between them, written in words that had to be perfect. One mistake could insult a culture. One misstep could cost the hotel its biggest deal of the year. Lana sat quietly, badge clipped, notes ready. Next to her was Claire Vance's niece, Jessica, official translator for East Asian relations. Lana already knew what was coming. It started slow. Jessica introduced the agenda in broken Mandarin. Her tones were flat, robotic, offbeat. The Japanese liaison leaned back in his chair, eyebrows raised. Then came the business proposal. And that's when the damage started. Jessica used phrasing that made it sound like the hotel expected obedience from their Japanese partners, an unintentional insult that no one else in the room caught. No one except Lana. She gently leaned forward and offered a clarification. In flawless Mandarin, she rephrased the sentence using proper honorifics, cultural respect, and strategic nuance. The mood shifted instantly. Smiles returned. The energy softened. But across the room, Miss Vance's expression hardened. Jessica looked humiliated. After the meeting, Mr. Callahan pulled Lana aside. "Send me both transcripts," he said. She did. 2 hours later, a closed-door meeting was called. Only 3 people were invited: Lana, Jessica, and Ms. Vance. No one knows what was said. But when the doors reopened, Jessica was crying. Ms. Vance walked out with her ID badge in her hand. And by morning, both their names were gone from the employee directory. The twist? Lana didn't ask for any of that. She just did her job. And for the first time, that was enough to make the entire system flinch. Lana thought it was over. That maybe, just maybe, she could settle into her new role, do the work, and let the chaos pass. But the next morning, a man in a gray suit showed up at her office. He didn't say much, just handed her a card. External Audit, Executive Compliance Division. Ms. Callahan had hired a private investigation team months earlier, after noticing unusually high turnover among qualified employees of color. Lana wasn't an isolated case. She was the pattern. And now, they needed her help. Not to expose just one manager, but to help uncover an entire system. The task was simple. Quietly review archived applications. Flag any that showed the same signs: blocked transfers, repeated rejections, comments that didn't match credentials. Lana didn't flinch. She'd spent years being ignored. Now she was being asked to listen for the people no one else saw. She combed through files like a surgeon, pulling out resumes from valets with economics degrees, kitchen staff fluent in 4 languages, janitors with former corporate careers in other countries. For every story like hers, there were 5 more buried in silence. And the crazy part? Most of them had stopped trying. They thought the system was too locked, too rigged, too blind to care. But Lana was done letting brilliance go to waste. She compiled a list, annotated it, cross-referenced every blocked promotion with internal comments. And what she found was undeniable. There wasn't just a bias, it was a wall, built out of fear, favoritism, and old money habit. She handed the report to the lead investigator and said, "Start here." And just like that, the hotel's dirty little secret stopped being invisible. It started becoming undeniable. It started in the break room. Quiet at first. A bellhop whispered to a housekeeper, "That's the girl they promoted." Then came the kitchen crew. "You mean the maid who speaks Russian?" Within a week, Lana's name was everywhere. Not in press releases, not on emails, just in conversations. Soft ones, careful ones. The kind whispered between clock-ins and elevator rides. The thing is, when someone like Lana rises, it doesn't go unnoticed. It ripples. People began approaching her cautiously, humbly, like they weren't sure if they were allowed, one by one. A dishwasher who used to be a financial analyst in Nigeria, a security guard who spoke French, Spanish, and Swahili, a laundry clerk with a master's in hospitality from Colombia. All of them overqualified. All of them overlooked. Lana didn't tell them to dream bigger. She didn't offer empty encouragement. She did something better. She took notes, names, backgrounds, stories. Then she slipped them into HR's system under internal referrals. Promotions started happening, slowly, quietly. But the whisper network grew louder. Some managers were furious. They accused her of playing favorites, of pushing an agenda. But they didn't know what Lana knew. This wasn't favoritism. It was fairness, long overdue. And while upper management scrambled to figure out how a maid had turned into a recruiter, Lana just kept listening. Because the truth, the people most worth promoting are never the ones asking for attention. They're the ones waiting for anyone to notice. And now, someone finally had. It was subtle at first, a shift in how people looked at her. The usual smiles became shorter. Emails took longer to get answered. A few meetings accidentally left her off the invite list. Then, An anonymous report landed on Mr. Callahan's desk. A formal complaint alleging that Lana had accessed confidential files without permission. The tone was sharp, legal, accusatory. On paper, it looked bad. If it stuck, it could cost her everything. But here's the thing. Lana wasn't new to being targeted. She knew the timing wasn't random. She had exposed too much, promoted too many, changed too quickly. So she stayed calm. Mr. Callahan ordered a full review, pulled system logs, checked timestamps. And when he requested the security footage from the office that day, what he saw changed everything. It wasn't Lana at the computer. It was Miss Vance, logging in under Lana's credentials, slipping into the shared drive like she belonged there, trying to make it look like Lana had hacked the system. The frame was clear. The evidence was undeniable. Mr. Callahan didn't get mad. He got strategic. He called Lana into his office, showed her the footage, and said, "I'm giving you something bigger than a position. I'm giving you control." He handed her a folder. Inside were documents authorizing her to lead a new internal audit team that reported directly to him. "Are you ready for this?" he asked. Lana didn't blink. "I've been ready," because at that point, she knew. They didn't fear what she'd already done. They feared what she was about to do next. The new ID badge was heavier, not in weight, but in meaning. Director of Global Communications. Her name printed in silver. The title she was never supposed to have. Lana didn't ask for a welcome party. She didn't need a new office with a view. What she needed, what she earned, was respect. And when she walked into the quarterly leadership meeting, every executive turned to look. Some stood, most didn't. But the silence? That said everything. Mr. Callahan introduced her calmly. Most of you knew her as housekeeping. Some ignored her completely. But she's the reason we didn't lose 3 international clients this quarter. She's the reason this company still has its reputation. The room stayed still. Lana walked to the front, took the mic, and paused. "I'm not here because someone gave me a chance," she said. "I'm here because I took one." Her voice didn't shake. It didn't rise. It landed like a stone on water, quiet, but impossible to ignore. In the back of the room, the housekeeping crew had been invited to watch. For the first time ever. They stood when she spoke. Tears in their eyes, heads held high. And in that moment, Lana wasn't just representing herself. She was standing for every overlooked employee who had been told they didn't fit the brand. She smiled, took a breath, and added one more line before she sat down. Excellence doesn't need permission. It needs opportunity. And just like that, the room finally understood she didn't rise through the system. She changed it. 6 months later, the Monarch Hotel didn't look the same. The chandelier still sparkled. The lobby still smelled like citrus and money. But behind the shine, something deeper had shifted. Lana had launched an internal initiative called the Unseen Talent Program. No fancy slogans, no corporate fluff, just one mission: find the people who'd been ignored, underestimated, or written off, and lift them quietly, strategically, permanently. In just half a year, they promoted a bellhop to analytics coordinator, a laundry worker to client services lead, and a kitchen line cook to sustainability manager. None of it was charity. These people were qualified, overqualified. They always had been. They just needed someone to open the door. Lana became that door. And the irony? Some of the same managers who once ghosted her resume were now being trained by the very employees they rejected. HR systems were rebuilt. Hiring panels diversified. And for the first time, promotions weren't based on last names or golf memberships, but on actual skill. Still, not everyone was happy. Some old execs resigned. Others whispered that the company was changing too fast. But Mr. Callahan didn't flinch. "If they're uncomfortable," he said, "it means we're finally doing something right." As for Lana, her office now overlooked the entire city, but the title on her door didn't matter. What mattered were the names on her list, the ones she hadn't promoted yet, the ones still waiting. Because the real victory wasn't her rise. was the ripple effect, all triggered by one moment, one language, one call. And the question is, if she hadn't answered that phone in Russian that day, would any of this have happened? Would you have answered it, knowing it could cost you everything or change your life forever? Comment what you would have done.